Hello and welcome back to another Sunday live stream. We have some pretty interesting stuff in store for us today, and we will not have any technical difficulties. I'm not using the script today. I'm scared. Doing everything by hand, already planning for it. How's everyone else doing on this Sunday morning? I see we have Evil, Charm Tiger, The Youth Worship, Explosion, Pear, Synapse, Noma Fire, Ramono, No Man is a Sky, Spiral Out, Inky, lots of y'all here already. I appreciate it. I look refreshed. That is good news, I think. I did have a good break. I feel like it was productive, not in the means of doing work, but doing work, on myself. So it's a journey, always is, and definitely better today. But there's still work to be done. That's just how it is. With that said, I guess I'll make this announcement now. I'll probably announce it later too, since there's not a lot in here. There'll also be posts about this on YouTube and Patreon. We're not going to have a theme next week. I have something special planned. I don't know if I'm going to be doing special selections yet. I'm thinking about taking it easy, but I'll figure that out tomorrow when I actually start putting work into all this, getting some videos recorded. Sometimes go too deep into depression before you work on it, so it's good for picking up on it early. Absolutely. Absolutely. And also, I want to thank everyone for the well wishes at Patreon, at Discord, at YouTube, the DMs, all of it. It was flabbergasted, dude. I have no words for someone as verbose as I am. It was just really encouraging and uplifting and reassuring to see all of this positivity just flood in. So I really appreciate that. Let's get today rolling. We got 13 tracks ahead of us here. We're gonna kick it off with "Don't Commit Suicide," which is, I know it's not supposed to be funny. I know Gaku submitted this from a good place, and this song is about having a positive message. But I do think that it's an incredibly blunt title. That cracks me up. Yeah, it's funny in a sense of irony. Yeah. Haven't watched it yet, but we're all here with you. Yeah, and I really appreciate that. And I think it's definitely shown this last week. Not that y'all don't, show whatever positive vibes all the time, but it really came in a strong force this last week. Oh my, I could get on an entire tangent about the way we are self-policing and changing the ways we talk about. I think I've actually gotten on this topic before, actually. Allowing tech companies to dictate how and what we talk about, and how it's shifted from the digital landscape to real life. I have heard people say grape in real life, in speech. It is the most ridiculous thing ever, and I think it takes power and seriousness away from these incredibly serious topics. And I'm just, yeah, dude, I don't know, I haven't heard that one in the wild yet, but I'm sure I'll get there eventually. Don't want to trigger the sensitives. I don't think it's so much about that. It is absolutely from a corporate perspective, because words like suicide and pedophile are just not ad appropriate. And so if you want to run ads, if you want to monetize your videos, you got to change the way you talk about things so that you can run ads on them. And it comes from this corporate mind perspective. And I hate it. I hate the way that it's infected the way we talk in general. I hate how financial and monetization and corporate decisions are affecting everyday life in the stupidest ways. To circumvent automatic text filters. Yeah, bleeping out normal words. Like, I'm against bleeping out anything, honestly. They're just words at the end of the day. But certainly just everyday words. Ones that would not be bleeped by the FCC in American television, but people do on YouTube, on TikTok. Like, I don't know, it blows me away. Yeah, it takes away the seriousness of it, 100%. So I've always been against that. I'm very vehemently opposed to that. And the first time I heard somebody say grape, and I think they also used the SA, I was just like, why? I didn't want to go off on them, but it really, like, it sent me. I was like, why are you doing this? Oh, I don't think I've seen that one before, Synops. That's, wow. It's the first thing I think of is Yahtzee, which is not what I should be thinking of when we're talking about such a vile group of people. Oh, that sounds like a fun game. Yeah, right? JC's video about this? That's okay. Let me make a little note for myself here, because I've always viewed it from a corporate side of things for ad revenue, but I'm kind of interested in, yeah, okay, that helps too, because I saw he had a lot of videos. I'd like to see this other side of things where maybe it's designed for societal reasons, or something like that. That one's a bit dicey. A-tier wordplay. Oh man, that's good. That is phenomenal. All right. I don't know how to pronounce this band's name. I don't know if it's Eyes or maybe it's Ones. But we have the track Don't Commit Suicide, all in caps. Can't miss it. This one comes at us from Gaku. Positive message and passionate vocals. Now, let's dive into this. See what's going on with this one.
否定されることとか全然話が通じないんですよ、世の中。けど、この空間をね、僕はいつも思い出して、僕が僕のままでいいって思って生きてます。だからみんなも自分らしく明日も明後日も今日死ぬ気で楽しんで明日も明後日もいけないでください。僕の心の中の衝動はずっと鳴りやまないから、ここで歌ってやるから、僕の君たちに歌って僕たちが永遠と鳴りやまないロックンロールだから、騒いで帰ってやってください。Don't comment on
Yeah, the intro is really intense. I was actually looking for a translation during that. Can't find one. Very fun start though. Let's see. Nope. Hey, Imagination of Cynic, welcome. I know it's live, but it's such a wide sound sphere. Love that bass line. That's something you can always seem to get in Japanese rock music. It's just phenomenal bass lines. All right. I don't think that they treat it completely differently, but the West has shifted away from bass-focused music. I mean, bass is hugely important in jazz, and that's the American genre right there. So I think you can find bass lines like this within jazz and even jazz fusion too. There's definitely parts of the rock world where it was present. And I think even like older rock and roll, you can find solid bass work too. It's just the modern Western sound is very minimal for the bass end. It's there to fill in the low part and not contribute to the music too much. Whereas Japan still really focuses on bass melody. I feel like almost every Japanese punk, rock, metal band, the bass is doing something cool. It's just such a prominent part of how they compose for the bass over there. Yeah, like jazz bass, except it's everywhere. I completely agree with that. Just learned about the octo bass. What is an octo bass? Is that an 8-string bass? That is too many. Wait, no, that's not an 8-string. Oh, wait, is it? Let me, I don't know if this is a great picture. And it is vertical, which is kind of terrible. See, I only see 3 strings there, but there's like some over here on the side too. I don't know. This is, I got to look into what this is and how it works. Mario, glad to have you. Marilyn, good to have you here. Early again. Making these on time now. Only be here until about 11:45. Oh, dude, 90th birthday, 100%. That's a massive milestone. 10 to 12 feet tall, the lowest bass notes in existence. You can't use your hands to fret. Oh, okay, so that's what this kind of stuff up here is for? Is that to help fretting? I don't know. Is it a 2-person instrument? I mean, I once saw a bass played by 3 people. That was pretty interesting. More spectacle than musical, but still really cool. Okay. Oh, it is 1 person. Wow. Yeah, this is a wild instrument here. Yes, I have a lot of DMs on Patreon. I haven't gotten to all of them yet, but I believe I have seen your name in the list at least. The levers act as the mechanical frets. Okay. I'm going to have to see a video of this being played later. I am incredibly intrigued by it. Yeah, that song, just very fun, bouncy, typical pop punk that I would expect. And, you know, the song is positive too, as Gaku kind of gave a really compressed, like single line description of what's being sung in there. That, you know, things are bad now, but living's better than dying, so they will get better, just got to push through it. And, yeah, real positive message there, and obviously very passionate. I wish I had a translation. I couldn't find one for this track. But lots of energy to start the day, great bass work, good guitar solo, passionate vocals, and energetic drums. I mean, that's a solid punk track right there. And the fact that harmonically it's so positive just matches what the lyrics are doing. So I can get behind that. There's only 7 known octabasses in the world. I mean, with something that large, why would you need more? No one's using them. Or maybe no one's using them because there's not enough of them. I'd like to see a concert with an Octobase. Built in the 1800s, 1850s. Wow. So we haven't built any since the 1850s? Or just the first ones were built in the 1850s? Kind of curious about that. Oh, okay. That... Oh, yeah. I pushed the button to move everything to the next song, and then I realized it didn't work. What's up with that? Yeah, I said earlier I wasn't using the script today because I was scared of it. And here I am confused why the script's not working. All right, here we go. Cool. We got VETO, Mount Doom. First tech. No, that's not a technical error. That's a clerical error, a Brian error, user error. We'll go with that. Hey, Azathoth, welcome. And thanks for the subscription. 8 months, dude. That's crazy. I also think it's kind of wild how Twitch keeps track of all this. And it's almost like a leaderboard. I mean, I guess that makes sense since Twitch was originally like a game-centric thing. So high scores and leaderboards kind of baked into that culture. But it's still wild. The only one with the streak, suckers. Oh, yeah. So technically a pibcac error. Yes. Problem is between chair and keyboard. Even if you're not using a chair. I've actually used my chair less and less this week, and I'm quite enjoying the freedom of this. I have this cool little thing here. It's like a little board, but it has this dome on the bottom, and it's used to promote movement while you're at a standing desk. And dude, it's a blast. I put my anti-fatigue mat on it because it's just wood, which would be incredibly tiresome to stand on. And I just kind of rotate, balance, get the knees moving throughout the day. It's great, man. Looks like a back-breaking board. A circular one would be pretty cool too. Because I've tried to like spin on this. I used to be a skater, so I'm kind of used to like popping one side up and then rotating and then planting the front down again to turn. It kind of works, but because it's so long, I end up hitting the legs of the desk and doing ollie. Funny enough, an ollie was one of the things that just always gave me such a tough time. So I ended up being a street skater, doing flatland tricks instead of air tricks because I never got the ollie down. It's crazy. I tried for I could do it in the grass. Like once every 3 attempts, I can get some air, but actually going while I'm moving, it just never clicked. Yeah, Rodney Mullen was actually a person who really inspired me back in the 2000s-ish when I was skating. Just that dude's phenomenal for flatland tricks. So the old 4-wheel manual. Oh, that's good. But yeah, my best skate skill trick. I don't know if they weren't really impressive. That's the thing. At least not as impressive as like half pipe stuff to me, because a lot of it is getting off the board and then like flipping it around with your hands, which again, inspired heavily by Rodney Mullen. But it just never really seemed impressive to me, but maybe that's because I could do them. But I mean, like grabbing the board and then kicking off a wall and doing a 180. I always thought that was pretty fun, but it also seemed really simple to me. So I always wanted to grind though. Grinding was like my goal, but you got to get the board up onto the rail or whatever. Just could never get it done. I still have, I think it's out in the garage. I still have my custom skateboard though from college. The whole back end is tore up though. Grinding's cool but dangerous. Absolutely. Super good at grinding in RPGs, right? Yep. Hey, Mark, welcome. Should have done parkour instead. Funny enough, I was into parkour too. I loved parkour. Apology not accepted. Dang, just out for blood today. Right off the bat. But yeah, I used to love parkour. I used to tuck and roll out of vans. My mom had like, you know, the typical soccer mom van. And while we were coming up to the house, after we were out doing something, I'd always slide the door open and jump out of the car and roll to get out. I was like leaping across things, jumping over handrails and stuff. Like, I still do it. I'm sure my mother loved that. No, I never jumped buildings or did anything super dangerous. And I never got like the technique for wall running or leaping back and forth between walls. I always tried. Maybe it was my shoes though. But I never got the hang of that. Yeah, parkour shoes with crazy gripping rubber. I didn't have those. I would have loved to though. There was this one time though, I don't know if it actually impressed the person, but I was on a date and there was a really tall lamp in this park and it had like 4 little thin overhangs, one on either side of it. And I ended up getting a couple kicks off of the lamp pole itself, which was also like a concrete rectangle. And then jumping up and pulling myself up, hoisting myself and sitting up there, as nerdy as this is, kind of Assassin's Creed style, just kind of perched over the ledge. So I thought that was awesome. That was one of the coolest places I had ever gotten to do anything like that. This was back in the day when I used to hit the gym all the time too. So I don't know if I could still do it. And like I said, I don't even know if it impressed them. It impressed me. And I think that was all I needed that day. Trying to watch on my PC and thought the stream was broken. Had the error 2000. I don't know what that is, but I'm glad you got it fixed. Man, I got to get back into shape. I think that's something that's really going to elevate my mood consistently, is being able to do some of the stuff I used to be able to do. Because I'm still fairly active. I like to go to the trampoline parks. I still run around and jump around. And like I said, I still like vault over handrails. Despite being like 230. So it's still something I love to do, but I know I've lost a lot of, I don't know if I lost the upper body strength, but I can't lift this much weight to do stuff that I used to do. So, oh, you just got on your phone. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm 230 at 6'1". So, but I used to be 175. Just like pure muscle, lean muscle. It's not like I was jacked, but like very little body fat. I used to hit the gym 3 to 4 times a week. Me and my buddy would go. And yeah, man, I miss those days. Let's get back to the music. Ended up spiraling on stream here. All right, VETO, Mount Doom. We got this one here. Comes at us from, this is a music stream from Ramono. Been listening to the Apple radio stations. This band kept popping up in my ears, would perk up every time. Not sure what it is that makes me tune to it. Well, let's find out if we can figure it out. See what's going on with VETO. Yeah, I'm sold right from the start. I like to hear it develop, maybe, see where it goes, but I mean, it's the beginning right here, and I'm on board. The space that was carved out for the vocals to come in, that would fill it back in, but also the vocals being kind of light and thin compared to the punchy bass. There's an extra bassy instrument in the center. Yeah, I do agree with that though. Like electro pop or electronic pop maybe more generally is where I would place this, but it doesn't feel electronic. I definitely agree with that. Oh, I just realized there's a face in the album art. I just saw it as noise, static, but kind of shifted, came into perspective.
I strained the flesh, I strained the mind, and I fell asleep and I dreamed of time, and a voice that spoke to me so
Interesting shift back into this. Yeah, there's something very human about this. And it's mixed with a lot of catchy ideas. I think overall it's a solid pop track. Even right here, you can feel kind of that negativity. It's not quite joyous despite the upbeat vibe. And I think that's what made that bridge not feel too far out of place despite getting dark and noisy. Yeah, I'm gonna pull that one down. Check out more of that. It definitely goes down easy. It's very digestible, and it is not totally singular. And I think that's what I'm really enjoying about it. It is catchy. It's groovy. It's optimistic, but not naive. And I think that's what the song really feels like to me, with almost a bit of an encroaching darkness in that bridge coming in, leading to the noise, but ultimately ending on optimism, on bringing that positivity back. I really like how all that fits together and creates this comprehensive sound. The shifting layers throughout keep it interesting, despite the fact that, I mean, it's kind of one idea all the way through. We have a little bit of a shift in the chorus, the bridge introduces the noise, but generally the whole of this track is fairly singular. But it doesn't feel boring, it doesn't feel monotonous, and I really enjoy that. Also, holy cow, there's like a hue gradient going on. I don't know how well you all can see this at the very top of the album. It starts off with a blue, like what's in the face picture, but then shifts to the peach that goes around it. Very interesting. Yeah, I don't know what they're going for with that. And it's not on all sides, just the top. But that's wild. And it's like I don't know if it's my monitor, because the monitor I have it on isn't my better monitor. I don't think its color reproduction is perfect. I don't know if that's supposed to be a smooth gradient or if it is supposed to be block based. But yeah, the gradient nonetheless, very intriguing. Groove gets stuck in your head. Absolutely. Speaking of things that get stuck in your head, all morning I've been singing that dumb chorus to that Will Wood track, White Knuckle Jerk. I knew it when I listened to it that it was going to get stuck in my head. It is just too catchy. And this entire morning, while I'm setting up all the texting, setting up OBS for the stream, it's just been going in my head. I can't sing it. There's too many kids in the house. But it's been stuck in my head, man. So, yeah, I knew it when I heard it. All right, next up we have some AVTT, PT, and APPTN. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Retrovertigo, you may recognize. I did. Anyways, Mr. Bungle's song. Mike Patton sings a cover of Mr. Bungle's Retrovertigo. For those who don't know, Mr. Bungle is, the lead singer is Mike Patton. Mike Patton is covering his own song here. With his current band or thing with the Avett brothers, very close to the original despite only having one person in common and being done live. This is interesting. Covering your own music is something I don't see too often aside from reimaginings. Like what we saw with, dang, I am blanking out on that band. It's a Japanese, like alternative metal, progressive metal bands. Yeah, there we go, you say. Oh, Avert Patton. That's clever. Why are there two, are there two T's in? Oh, there are Avett. The Avett brothers. AVTT. PTTN. Oh, ho, ho. You just take out the vowels. Okay. If he wrote it, I wouldn't call it a cover, but a version. That's true. A reimagining. And see, that's usually what it is, too. Like when we listened to the unplugged version of Take On Me from Aha, I called that a reinterpretation, a reimagining of it. Cover is an interesting word for your own works, but maybe it's accurate as, who requested this? What Makes Me Me did mention that the song's fairly similar. Yes. Yeah, the song, a lot of Mr. Bungle stuff is very channel surfy to me, but that one definitely stood out on that. Let's dive into this. See what's going on with some Mike Patton. Should be a countryish version. Let's find out. A lot of musicians on stage. I can get behind that. Saw a violin back there too. Oh, and a cello. I think I have. I think someone shared it in the Discord a while ago, but I can't remember it. I can't even think of what it... it's like Bloodburst has a distinct sound. I can't even imagine what it would sound like. So I gotta listen to it again. I haven't sang it live in like 20 years. Wow. I'll throw that onto my list then. I love the vocal harmonies. definitely a bit of a different vibe, even if like a lot of it is similar. The instrumentation changes everything. It feels very 90s to me. But I think it did come out in the 90s, so that makes sense. Somewhere between like alt rock and grunge. Very close to the original. I like it though. I like the instrumentation. I like the cello. I like the violin. The bells sound great live. I don't know if they would sound that great in the studio, but there's a presence to ringing within this area that just cuts through everything in a way, even though it's like the lightest of taps. He's not hammering away at it, but it just pierces everything. I love that. I actually kind of wish we didn't shift to the electric guitar at the end. I think it works at elevating the track and pushing it into this big finale, but it also lost some of the atmosphere that I was really enjoying from just the acoustic instrumentation. The vocal work though, I think that to me is the highlight of this. Listening to these three people sing together and create these beautiful harmonies and just really envelop this, not even scattered, but separate darkness. Sometimes we will have just two people singing the same part, but so often it's three distinct parts that just happen to be harmonizing with each other. And it's that, again, separated darkness, everyone kind of in their own world, but actively working to support each other. Just really great. I love everything about this, and it might be my preferred version of this track now. I do have to wonder though, how did this project come to be? I don't see the Avett brothers really grooving well with what I know about Mike Patton. Between Bungle and Phantom Moss and probably some other stuff I've heard of his, it just seemed very, very different worlds. Even when the original Bungle performed this live, there weren't as many people on stage. Right, yeah, dude, this is awesome. I love how everything feels full here. And I think that's what draws me to it and why I like it more than the original. Because the original was more traditionally rock focused. I think there was only 4 people in there. Vocals, bass drum, guitar, if I remember correctly. I think if there was ornamental stuff, it would have been like one-off ideas that Mr. Bungle loves to do. But not like this, where everything feels fully incorporated into the larger arrangement. So it stands out to me, and I love the moodiness of it. It really works. All right. We have Bell X1 here with the track Breastfed. Not sure where this song's going to take us, but we're going to find out. This one comes at us from Stringhead. A banger in 7. In 7 time signature? Yeah, it's got to be, because it's only a 4-minute song, so it's not that. AVTT Brothers simply mentioned Patton as an influence in an interview. Management told him and Patton reached out. Oh, dude, that's awesome. It happens to everyone eventually. Mike Patton is such an eccentric dude, at least musically. I don't know anything about his personal life, but I'm sure that there's going to be some works of his that just stand out further than any of the other works that he's done, being that he's just worked on such a wide amount of sounds. Yeah, you're going to find stuff you love, and then you're going to find stuff you love more of his, and sometimes it's going to be the same thing. All right, let's dive into this. See what Bell X1 is bringing to the table. I've never even heard of this artist, so let's check him out. Tomahawk. Oh, that was an interesting.
You're so pretty, I'm so lame. You're ever changing and stay the same. You give good sermon, I say bad grace. My food for the soul, it leaves a bad taste. You say the same.
Yep, there's the 7.
Never left my head, I've no story to tell. You save yourself, I'm saved by the bell. Never left my head, I've no story to tell.
Oh, massive guitar. Yep. Yeah, they're not playing it up on the half beat. Everything's a downbeat accent.
I'm nowhere near the cliff, but I can see the drop. I'm all sound and fury and smoke without fire. I see you watermark when I hold you to the light. You're so pretty, I'm so lame. Cleanliness is closer to godliness, they say. Well, now what does that mean? If you can be God, well, I can be clean. I was still fine when I was breastfed. I blame it on the milk when on my deathbed. Yeah, I was doing swell when I was breastfed.
The falsetto on top of the fuzzy vocals. Yeah. Stumble rock. That's good. What is the Bell X1? An experimental rocket engine powered aircraft? Still keeping that 7 going.
I was still fine when I was breastfed.
tracks of horror. Very full sounds. Yeah, solid track right there. Lots of fuzz. Okay. Okay. Just go ahead and breathe in my air. Or why don't you? Love the guitar sound that comes in on the chorus there. The vocals, the guitar, I mean, the vocals getting all fuzzy and compressed, almost like they're coming through a blown out speaker, but then having very clear, clean falsetto harmonizing with it actually is pretty solid. I love that combo. The guitar riffs, the bass riffs, incredible. Just very catchy, very groovy, very digestible, but in a fun way. The drums holding everything down while everyone else just goes off. And then, of course, just the pure escalation across this track until we have a very full, noisy finale. Yeah, I could see some Queens of the Stone Age in this. A little bit of White Stripes, too. Here's something interesting. Azathoth had mentioned that it sounds like the music they'd expect for a band who named themselves after the Bell X1. And Youth Worship Explosion mentioned possibly putting it on a list to check out further. When I was looking up what the Bell X1 was, and I saw that it was an aircraft, Wikipedia also sent me to the band's page, and it says that they're known for regularly changing their sound from album to album, including alternative rock, indie rock, hard rock, post-punk, acoustic, lo-fi, folk rock, ballads, pop, synth pop, new wave, and electronica. So it seems like every album's going to be different, sort of like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. They have been compared to bands like Talking Heads, David Bowie, Radiohead, Flaming Lips, U2, Coldplay, Animal Collective, Elbow, and Talk Talk. So a lot of those big name bands in this community. Definitely a band to pay attention to if you want to see somebody just play around with sound, it sounds like. And that makes it really daunting for me, but I'm going to pull them down anyways because that was a killer track. And if nothing else, I'll check out this Blue Lights on the Runway album and see what's going on there. This album is a transition between their post-punk garagey earlier stuff and their 80s synth pop. Yeah, I can feel the garagey sound to this, but it isn't like pure garage rock either. But it's very digestible, and I can see how this would have led into more poppy ideas. So, oh yeah, Vito's vocalist being very talk. I can see that. And they went to more atmospheric stuff later. Yeah, this band's all over the place. So I can see them. I can see this being interesting for quite a few people in the community. What did I just close? Oh, I closed my chat. That's not good. All right. Next up. Oh, yeah, we got some Matt Garstka. This dude, man, I can listen to him play drums any day of the week, anytime. It doesn't matter what kind of state I'm in emotionally, where I'm at. It doesn't matter who I'm talking to. If someone's like, hey, you want to see Matt Garstka drum? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I will stop everything else to watch him. The dude's just consistently putting on master classes for polyrhythms and just sick multi-time drum stuff. And, you know, of course, the title of this is Mastering Time 3. So I think we're in store for something really interesting here. This one comes at us from Vermilion Gates. Got a fun drum playthrough from Garstka to add to the live stream. Lots of funky time changes and really intricate drumming. That's what I go to Matt for. All right, string heads, have a good rest of your day. I'll get this up as soon as I can today if you're interested in checking it out later. All right, Ramona, you too. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Enjoy the food. I don't know what it is, but it's food, so it's got to be good. All right. Let's see what's going on with some Matt Garstka. Oh, dang. A house full of cooks? That's the way to go. Alright, guy. Oh yeah, dude. Matt's strumming is always melodic, rhythmically intense but fluid, and I think that's what I love about him. This guy's from Animals as Leaders, but he also has some jazz fusion stuff on the side too. I also love looking at the snare drum and seeing where he hits it, because the radius of where the hits are is always so tight. Like, he's a robot, dude. Oh, him working with Himasian makes a lot of sense. Oh. When you've got your own stank face from your own music, you know you're doing something good. Oh, it's those ghost notes. But also like the staccato did stuff in the back just like elevates all of it too. It's kind of like an inverse trap beat, where instead of the fast part being on the hi-hat, it's on the snare. Hey, Shrek, what's up? Shrek knows your IP address. Also, Tahiti Gov, what's up? Hope you all are having a good day. And welcome to the stream. That was phenomenal. It's what I expect from Matt. He's just... I think I got to fix this too. The artist, I don't think, is Tzu Jan. Because seeing this middle recommended video, I think this is the movement or the idea of Mastering Time 3 that we were looking at. So I think I'll have to edit that for the YouTube video later. Matt did a podcast with two with Card Bomb drummer Elliot Hoffman, and they seem to consider each other equals. Yeah. Both of them are absolutely beasts on the drums. You don't know my IP address, someone just banned me just for my name. Not much of a song. I can kind of agree with that. I think that there is some really cool moments in here. I think the way that the drums play with the synth stuff, both mood-wise and melodically, I would call this a song, but I don't think it's incredibly interesting at all moments. For me, absolutely, what I get out of this is Matt just being a beast on drums. Here's something that might blow your mind. I am 85% sure that entire song had 0 tempo changes to it. Every single time it felt like it sped up or slowed down, that was shifting time feels done with polymeter. It is a ridiculous display of craft over time, which is what Matt's all about. I mean, it's called mastering time. So yeah, I am reacting to music. So part of a series where he plays to loops. Don't think that there's any focus outside the drum work. Okay, well that's even more interesting too, because I kind of assumed it was made in conversation. You know, the whoever put the music together was in conversation with Matt, and they were building this out of that. But if it was just, hey, this is some music I found, I'm going to put some drum beats to it, that's impressive too, because the drums contribute so much to the atmosphere of this track from moment to moment that it feels like they were written to be played together, which maybe just, yeah, I just keep talking up Matt, so. But yeah, just I'm blown away every time I listen to Matt. Even when I listen to his Animals as Leaders stuff, I'm pretty sure I shared a video a couple years back of him on Drumeo breaking down not breaking down, just playing the solo to Animals as Leaders Woven Web, I think it was, or maybe it was Limpencott, one of those 2 tracks. And he seemed to, as far as I could tell, ad-lib one of the sickest drum fills I've ever heard, because it's different than what was in the studio version, but it was one of the craziest things I've ever heard in my life. And to think that he might have improvised that on the fly, I'm always in awe of this guy. And yeah, this track just continues my love of his drum work. So, yes, you have to pay in order to submit requests for live streams. It's the critic tier, so it's $5 a month. And I think our next slot will be open on the 17th or maybe the 24th. Anyways, you get 1 request per month, and we check in every Sunday, and we get through like 13 or 14 requests each week. So with that said, all of today's has been figured out, and the schedule's already been created so far. You can find the schedule under the video. Oh, I'm supposed to have one in the chat too. Completely forgot about that. Let me get that going. Usually someone reminds me. And yeah, chilling here is just fine too. Conversation's great. The community is phenomenal. We're all very open-minded about music. We listen to a lot of styles here. I do my best to break down music as best I can on a bit of a less in-depth manner, since we have so much to get through. But if you go over and check out my YouTube channel, Critical Reactions, I'll spend like 30 minutes talking about a single 5-minute song, and we'll dive into all sorts of music theory about it. Here we go. Bam, get that pinned. There's the schedule for today. Not sure why I didn't have that pinned already. All right. Yeah, though, I could talk up Matt all day. I don't know if I would ever want to do interviews with musicians because honestly, I get really nervous around awesome people. I've done interviews in a past life when I was doing video game journalism, and just was not my favorite thing to do. I don't know. It's just very stressful for me. But Matt would be at the top of the list of people I would want to talk to. Easily. You think I'd be good at interviews? I think I would be good too. Musicians should interview you. I think I'm less stressed about being on the other side of that. I've done podcasts with as a guest in a podcast with two other podcasts. I've been interviewed by I forgot his name, Morgan from the Prague School, and Jeebs from Key of Jeebs, and delightful. Love chatting it up. Talking shop with people who know what they're talking about is awesome. But like being the interviewer just feels very stressful for some reason, even though it's still just a conversation. I think it's because the onus is on me to have questions and conversation starters. I don't know. It's like such a small detail, but my brain really blows it out of proportion. I don't know. Maybe I should try it though. Interviews, because like I said, I love talking shop, and I think y'all know I love talking about music. So it seems like it would be a really easy home run. Just go talk to people. Why isn't it that easy? Oh man. All right. Next up, we have this cool artwork here. Water being split over two statues. Maybe you should do the interview, live stream it. It might help. Maybe. Although not being able to edit anything out later also feels stressful too. Or maybe that would make it worse. I think it's like a double-edged sword. It's got its pros, it's got its cons. All right, landmarks. Deep Inferno. Comes at us from Johnny. Peace, love, and metalcore, but French. I don't know if that makes a really big difference, but I guess we're going to find out. Let's dive into this. Oh, chat comments. Yeah, dude, that would help a lot. It'd be interesting too. I can't think of anyone else who does interviews live. I mean, I'm sure there are some, but when I think of, particularly within the reaction space of music reactors who go towards the interview route, it's never live. So that might be really interesting. It also might make it really difficult to end the interview. 10 hours later, people are still having questions. We're still chatting it up. We've lost track of time. Obviously, the song is about baguettes and croissants. More formal chat videos with other reactors and musicians then. Doesn't need to be interviews. Oh, that's true. That's true. Could be like a talk show host. Although I suppose that there's still, some things to fall back on if there's ever dead air. Just things to kick things off. But yeah, that might be a good way just to change my perspective on it. All right, landmarks. Let's see what's going on here. So much energy. Oh. I really like these verses. Yeah! When did this come out? Good call in the Chester, by the way. Very Linkin Park. Last year. This completely flew under my radar then. Yeah, this one gets pulled down. This is good.
I saw the fucking eye. No one can fix me anyway. I can't go fix me.
Not something incredibly musically deep, but high energy, bouncy, lots of just forward momentum. This is a fun track. The guitar riffs are minimal, mostly there for vibe and aesthetic, just allowing the guitar to have a texture to affect the atmosphere and occasionally changing notes. Slipknot-like whispery bits. Yeah, dude, there's a lot of older influence in here too. I'd even say that part of the bridge reminded me of some classic Korn stuff with the way that it used space, offbeat accents, and very tense note intervals, going from a lower tone to something very clashing against that original first note. Of course, the Linkin Park vibes, particularly in the poppier chorus, but I also really like the rapped sections too. I'm a big fan of rapped vocals. I think I've expressed that enough over the years, and I love hearing them within heavier music. And I think this was a really cool way to work that in, both with clean spoken word stuff, but also faster delivered harsh vocals too. I kind of wish we had more of that. It seemed to be more focused on the verses, which dominated the beginning of the track. We never really returned to it at the end. And as always with core adjacent music, there's a breakdown. I'm just not a big breakdown fan. I found the middle of this track to kind of lose my attention a little bit. Just wasn't doing much of anything other than craft atmosphere. But I like how we ramped the energy up towards the end and finished strong despite what I felt was a little bit of a weaker ending. I'm sold on this though. I don't know why I've never heard of Landmarks. I don't know how this went under my radar last year, but I've got to check out more. Adrasteia was the goddess of inevitable fate, representing pressing necessity and the inescapability of punishment. That brings up our next track. I think that's really interesting. Inevitable fates. I mean, is there uninevitable fate? Isn't that what fate is? An inevitability? Also, I have to really enunciate that word for some reason. Inevitable. It's just, you gotta hit every single syllable almost. Missing a band named Landmarks is kind of ironic. Rolo Tomassi is a group that I really enjoyed when I first found them, but their recent releases have been very hit and miss for me. I feel like they've gone in a direction that shows maturity in composition, but just doesn't quite click with me the way it used to. But I'm interested in checking this one out because I always love the bands. They're doing something interesting most of the time. And I don't think I've listened to Grievances, which is this album. No, the album artwork doesn't look familiar to me. I think I found them after this album came out because one of y'all introduced them to me. I hadn't heard of them before I started the channel. Canon and Fiber? Easy listening, death black industrial with lyrics about the suffering of World War I soldiers. I feel like I've seen that name before, but I see a lot of band names, so could be why. Cannon fiber, is that what it translates to? All right, we're gonna get this rolling, see what's going on with some Rolo Tomassi. I forgot about context. No context. Really wild time to stuff. Maybe that's why I recognize the band name then. So this is 7. I wonder if the rest of the track's in 7 too. Great atmosphere, but the drummer, the increasing complexity in that part there, really nice. Very menacing, with the background's melody being eerie, off-putting. The resolution at the end is interesting too. As tense and eerie as a lot of this track is, to end on this almost level of acceptance, to realize that there's no point in fighting against this force. Let's just go with the flow. As melancholy and somber as that is, an acceptance of a reality nonetheless. Very cool way to wrap that up. I think for this track in particular, though, it's just a little too repetitive for me, particularly that third section. I thought that the mathcore intro was, well, I mean, I never really figured out what it was doing, so it kept my brain active, at least then. I really liked the moodiness and the melodic drumming in the clean vocal section. It's just that final part just kind of did its thing over and over and over. There just wasn't a lot of change to it, which is probably thematically on point. So I don't want to detract too much from it, but I did find that I was kind of waiting for the song to move on to the next idea. And unfortunately, that idea was the piano outro, which is not a bad thing. I like the piano outro. I think, again, thematically, it's a very cool piece, and I like how the song ends on this singular focus. But I was hoping for the song to grow into something else, and it never wanted to hit that, which is fine because we had like a peak and then a valley and then a peak and then the resolving valley. So overall, I'd say that this is a really well done song that subjectively just didn't quite grab me as much as I would have wanted it to, but is objectively incredibly solid. Was it all that repetitive overall, though? I don't think overall. It really is just that third section, though. It's peak, I tell you. And you know, that's completely fair. There's a lot of really good ideas in here too. And I do think that as far as leaning into what I'm going to assume the lyrical themes are, it's really cohesive in that manner. And from an artistic standpoint, this is really good. But I don't know, I wish there was more variety to it. I wish the cleans got interwoven into the harshes. I wish there was more dynamic elements to it. But I do understand and would probably even argue against that, as it would detract from the artistic elements. You like the third section the best, didn't feel repetitive. Very interesting. Very interesting. To me, it was the 7 pulse, the guitar riff kind of being the same through the entire 7 pulse. Not too much of a harmonic element to it, as it is mostly textured. In my mind, I actually came up with the word post-core because it felt like post-metal to me, but it's definitely a post-hardcore style of music, or maybe even a metalcore style of music. And it's just singularity is what I got from that section. The vocal rhythms were mostly identical. There's not a lot of dynamics to the way the vocals are delivered. It's just that one harsh all the time. We did get the separation of the voices in that final sentence, which I thought was a nice way to punctuate that section. Maybe you count sections differently. That's okay. Maybe I do. I'm talking about the big moment after the quiet section, after we brought the energy down and we built it back up. The penultimate section right before the piano part. Around the World by Daft Punk is repetitive. I don't know what that is, but I haven't heard a lot of Daft Punk to even really give a wrong wrong assumption on that based off of other things I've heard. What if we have a different definition of big moment? That's fair too. A lot of what I talk about, aside from when I'm like, this is a polyrhythm, it's a 7 against, you know, really hard-coded facts about the music, which even, as I've mentioned before, time signature is not even a hard fact about music anyways, but a lot of the ways that I describe music and talk about it, it's all subjective in the end. They say around the world about 1 million times. I don't want to hear that. Oh man, that sounds like a nightmare. I've had nightmares like that. I mean, not specifically with Daft Punk or that phrase, which would be bonkers if I did. But yeah, just like a sound that you can't stop. Absolutely terrifying. It's like alarm sounds in music. Or occasionally an overuse of like panic chords in post-hardcore music. That's something that's going to send me to. Surprisingly catchy. Oh man, that's the cherry on top. That's what makes it so terrible. Yeah, dude. If I ever heard, well, actually, I have heard songs where just in the background, meep, 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 meep. It's gonna drive me crazy. It absolutely will. Bonkers is such a good word, man. And the thing is I haven't really heard anyone use it for such a long time. I thought it was just something that I carried over from my childhood. Because I don't know where I picked it up from, but I had a video game about this cop cat. He was like a cat, but he was in a cop suit or something like that. And his name was Bonkers. I think it was based off of a television show, but I didn't watch it. I just had the game. And he did like zany stuff. I think that's where I got it from, but maybe not. It's not like bonkers is a brand new word or anything like that. But recently, like the past 5 years or so, I've heard a lot of people on YouTube using it, and maybe it's just a millennial phrase. I reintroduced bonkers to the world. I doubt it. I think that would be pretty cool, but it seems like a lot of people were saying it around the same time I was too, so I don't know if I can take credit. But it is such a good word because it sounds cartoonish. It sounds wild. It's like, it doesn't sound like a real word at times. Almost sounds like a onomatopoeia of sorts. And I think that helps it describe things. Like it's not crazy. It's not wild. It's bonkers. It's like beyond that. Wild and crazy are already words to describe stuff. We're just using it and embellishing it in order to mean something exaggerated. But bonkers is just crazy. Might have been more continuously common in the UK. Really? Bonkers sounds bonkers? Now the more I say it, it doesn't sound like a word. I don't know. I hate when you say something over and over and over and it just stops sounding like a word. All right. Wait, what? I'm going to get these set up for the next one. The song that never ends is repetitive. It absolutely is. This is the song that doesn't end. It goes on and on, my friends. Rar. Rar is so good. All right, we got From Indian Lakes here with the track Fog. I really like the album artwork on this. Something about just the graphite pencil idea, having the face become the trees, or the face is in the trees and stuff like that. The creases of the mouth become branches in the tree. I don't know. It's just like, it's the melding of pictures I always love. 99 bottles of beer on the wall. It avoids repetition by always changing. Technically true, I suppose. There's always a syllabic change within that. All right. Let's dive into this. We got context from Josiah without any context. Let's kick it. Okay. Originally originated in Britain as naval slang, regularly used in the US as an adjective to describe chaotic situations, as a favorite term among Gen Z. Interesting. I'm a middle-aged, middle millennial, right in the middle of the generation. Loving the hi-hat work. Also the compression on both the bass and the drums. I like that. I can go with that. I'm a mid-millennial. Millennial. Another track that's just not in 4. Actually, speaking of time, I'm curious what that Matt Gartzka song was in. That's not a tambourine, is it? When it's like rock music and drops into lyrics without drums or guitar? Yeah. Oh yeah, I think that's it. Christmas bells. I was gonna say, it doesn't sound tambourine-like, but it was close. Some sort of suspended metal. Building up energy into nothing. Why does indie rock like to do that so much? The room acoustics aren't removed from this. The rest of the lyrics weren't like that. Very interesting finale to that. Yeah, I generally enjoyed that though. A nice poppy indie rock kind of vibe throughout. The soft vocals, but nice harmonies in places. Kind of straightforward on the guitar work. Just nice chord shaping and arpeggiation. Most of it is fairly straightforward. I do feel like there's a little bit more work on what the drums are doing. But a lot of this is atmosphere building, and a lot of it ends up feeling very vulnerable and intimate to me until it's very big and large, and it feels too big to carry, and then the song cuts out, and then we get just the vocals without any EQ, which I thought was wild. It almost sounded like I was in the room with them. I wasn't listening to a studio recording. Yeah, I'm going to pull that one down too. I think that's another album that isn't necessarily going to strike me as incredibly interesting, but is going to be really good in the moment. Something that I'm going to think about for years to come just because of the atmospheres they're crafting. The way they're building and changing energy. Yeah, solid track. There's a lot of dark colors on this page. We have some music here that I think is going to be a bit on the heavier side. Lividus, Jettatori. I don't know what any of that means. Oh, thank you, Synapse. Perfect timing. A person who is believed to bring bad luck to others by looking at them, often used in superstitions and beliefs about curses, hexes, and jinxes. All right. Yeah, dude, that's cool. So this is, as stated here from Synapse, melodic death black metal from Portland, Oregon. Usually when we check out death and black metal bands, it's just a bunch of dudes, but this one, the dudes are in the minority. Very cool. Yeah, I noticed the band members over here. I was like, some of these names are feminine. Cool. You don't see that too often in metal. Not US metal. Anyways, going back to the conversation we were having about basses in Japanese music being different than Western music. Also, a lot of heavier bands, both in the punk and the metal scene, are women-led and sometimes even exclusively women. We just don't see as much of that in the Western world. So it's good to highlight that when I see it. Let's dive into this then. Melodic death black metal. Men are the real oppressed minority confirmed. Think it's going to be soft rock. I do like the blue though in this. Especially when it comes to black metal, I think there can be an oversaturation of just white and black, sometimes a little bit of gray, but this specific kind of like purpley-ish blue really works. It's got a nice unique element to it. All right, let's kick it. Right from the start. Tempo shift there is nice. I've got to pull this one down. I'm listening to this. I don't know when, sometime this week. I don't think it's going to be something I return to. I don't think I enjoyed it from a casual perspective, but I am incredibly intrigued by the writing. It is intriguing. There's almost elements of classical fugue in here. It doesn't quite go really far into that direction, but I do feel this idea of expressions on iteration, of taking something you've already written and transforming it to be something new while still including key elements of the original version of it. It doesn't quite get as distant as some of the fugues we've had on the channel where, you know, 3, 4, 5 iterations in and it's almost unrecognizable to the original unless you know some music theory, harmonic theory, and melodic writing theory of how these elements would tie into one another. But it's certainly, every piece of this is tied into that first riff. There's also a lot of counterpoint in this track. So many elements vying for your ears. The vocals, the guitars, vocals. There's 2 vocals in here. There's lots of movement. The guitars never sit still. We'll have a couple of low notes just to create like almost a pause in the song and then go straight into 16th notes for a little bit. The pause will be on lower notes, which kind of escapes the hearing too. There's not a lot going on, but it's also lower tones in general. And then it'll shoot up to the 16th notes, but higher, immediately grabbing attention. Where your attention should be placed is just never anywhere in particular. If you try to lock into any one place, you're going to miss out on so much information. But if you try to move everywhere that the spotlight is shining, it's like running around a stage. It's just difficult to keep up with everything. And then that's just like the individual parts. Once you try to understand the patterns of the track as a whole, you start running into trying to amass all of this information for a 4-minute song. It felt like I was here for 10 minutes. It is ridiculous, all of what got crammed in here. The drum fills were well done. The riffs were well done. The operatic vocals were well done. There were harsh vocals in here. Not to discredit the skill as usual, but it's just not really my cup of tea here. It's just the bass work. There's bass lines in here too. Moving melodic bass lines. Everything is just constantly changing and moving. It is still very much close to death metal. Not really a genre I'm big on, but the composition is just impossible for me to ignore. Like I said, I'm going to check this whole album out. Probably will end up being a one and done for me, but I have to listen to this. It's just too cool. And as Per had mentioned, there's even some folky elements to some of the clean melody lines too. So they're incorporating more than just metal and some dashes of classical in here. There's not really opera in here. There's just operatic vocals. Yeah, this is not sure you could do more than a few songs at a time. Yeah, I think this is going to be incredibly overwhelming, but I'm going to have to, I have to hear it. I'm just so enthralled by it. 11 tracks. Oh, they're all on the short end though. The bookends are less than a minute combined, so there's really only 9 tracks in here, and most of them are in the 2 to 4 minute realm. I kind of figured, given how progressive the music was, they'd lean on longer tracks too. This came out in April. Like 2 weeks ago. I am behind on my new music, so maybe that's how I missed this. But yeah, that's easy. Pulled that one down. Excellent find. Was it Synops? Yeah, excellent find on that one. Now that is some low resolution video. When's this? 15 years ago. This is going to be excellent. I'm excited. Oh, I didn't even update this stuff. I was so into that track there. I didn't even read chat. I apologize if there's some cool stuff going on conversation-wise between y'all. I was just locked into that song. Real men watching 240p. Let's see what we have for options. Wait, this is 720? There's no way. 15 years ago was the 90s. Yeah, dude. Obviously. There's definitely no way that that was post-turn of the century. That's not how time works. Let's see, context for this comes from Nope. I missed something. There we go. Comes from Off by 50, another Jawbox track. We had the song Savory before, which I think you liked for the most part. This one's from the following album and is a little less dissonant, but keeps their distinct sound. All right, we're pushing for a rather heavy outro to today's stream. I don't know if Deftones covered Savory. Let's dive into this though. See what's going on here. After a few songs focusing on 7s and 3s, we're back to a 4/4. Yep, now we can see all the pixels. Hey, Kantarkus, welcome. Glad to have you. Also, Helicon, I don't think I greeted you earlier. Very 90s alt rock though. Kind of poppy though. I'm digging it. Yeah. Always love a good canon. Yeah, the dissonance is so subtle, you barely even hear it. It is present underneath everything because there is positive melody in the vocal work and the bass, but it's there. It still informs the atmosphere. Oh, it's a bit more prominent here. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely a fun track. Pretty typical rock stuff. Verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. Very digestible vocals, vocal harmonies, vocal counterpoint, vocal canon. Lots of fun stuff with the vocals going on with this one. The drums, yeah. Yeah, I would wager the studio version sounds a little different than this. I didn't want to bring up much of the production because I just kind of assume it's because of the low quality of the video that was from 15 years ago. But yeah, I This was from 1989? Dang. Dang indeed. I would have loved to see these live when I was younger, but not really what I would want to see live these days anymore. It'd still be a really good time, but they do what they do well, which is light and poppy with a little dash of some darkness, a little bit of tension thrown underneath, which I think works really well in the case of this track. Cool. Vocals are definitely similar to what I've heard before from this style, but I like that they're not overly dramatic. I'm a fan of the drama. I do find these to be a bit more on the tasteful side of things, so I can appreciate where you're coming from. But to me, what really stands out is just the vocals. The canon on the first chorus, the counterpoint in the final chorus. I love that, and I wish more bands would do that. But I'm always talking about that, man. More dual vocals in music. If I had my way, if you wrote music, you had to have dual vocals in it. All right, 16 horsepower. The album art has a scarab on it, so kind of interesting. No horses on this at all. This one comes at us from Elbow Juice. "16 horsepower" are awesome. I don't think I've ever heard of them before, so I'm excited to get into this. Comes at us from Elbow Juice, something a bit more fun after requesting such a depressive song last month. All right, let's dive into this then. See what they're bringing to the table. Hey, Mark, welcome back. Okay. Okay. So this is very indicative of the rest of their work.
With your eye and feet, yeah. Never waver from your path. You think you got away with something, boy? Well, see his hand and feel his staff. Yeah, you got away with words, alright, yeah. Quite away with the ladies. You thought the trouble is you hang a lamp down. There ain't no maybe.
What's with those sounds? You having an audio problem?
Give my conscience a pounding. Come and shake my ground, Lord, with the sound of heaven's pounding. You're thinking when this is all over, well, I'll just sit back and laugh. Well, I don't think so, friend, cause I've done the math.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't personally hear it, but I understand what you're saying now.
Right beside you, though, you judge me on my name.
Let's see, choose prog, stoner, folk, or jazz adjacent. Let's go with stoner. That's gotta be fun.
Sing me down. Give my conscience a pounding. Come up, shake my ground. With the sound of heaven's
Oh, nice. Looking forward to that. Always sound for a good movie track.
come and sing us down. Give our conscience a pound.
Well, that was abrupt. Yeah, I generally enjoyed that. Definitely one idea throughout most of that. There's some variation in the riffs themselves and the grooves, but it really captures this, I don't know, almost like world-worn dude just traveling on a horse through some deserty area and going from town to town. Like, this is the music that plays in the traveling aspect of that story. It's got get up and go, but it's also gritty. It's bouncy, but it's held down. They seem contradictory, but I think it does create a nice balance in everything here. It's a fun track, but it doesn't let itself fly away, in a sense. And it's got good groove, good atmosphere. I love the acoustic guitars alongside the electric guitar. I think the vocals sound great in this. It's almost like a country track, though. A little bit of like a dash of bluesy rock in there, but kind of folky in chord progression at times. It's an interesting group of like all these semi-related genres. So yeah, I can dig it. I don't know if it's something I'd want to listen to more of. You know, a track here or there, people want to request them. I definitely had a fun time with it, but I don't think it's something I'd go out of my way to listen to. But I think that they do this really well. And the vocalist just sounds right for this style, which is crazy. I think it's pretty cool. It doesn't happen all the time, but vocals just like, yeah, that's the kind of vocals I would expect for this song. Dude just matches it perfectly. All right, next up we have some PinioL. I don't know. The L's capital too, so what does that mean? Can I read it backwards? Oh, PinioL. Yeah, I remember PinioL. Is that what, this isn't PinioL though, it's PinioL. Oh, wait, what? A collaboration between the two groups. Thank you. Okay, thank you. That's what I get for only reading half of the comment. Sounds like it belongs in Sinners. Yeah, I could have seen this in Sinners. Definitely has a lot of that vibe, but, you know, also very country bluesy. So definitely fits the time. So this is a collab, and instead of just saying band 1, band 2, or artist 1, artist 2, they mixed all the letters together and made something new. I don't hear that too often. There's a lot of people in this thumbnail, though. It makes sense. This one comes at us from Hund 3000 with no context. Let's dive in. I'm excited. See where this goes. Starts out with strong bass. Oh, Kantarkus. I looked up the vocalist, and it seems the only other thing they were in is Crime in the City Solution, which seems like a pretty small band. So, yeah, probably just heard someone like him. I love the rogue bass accents over here. Also, the music video is chirpy. taking two performances and then only showing parts of either of them so that they're close enough but not identical. Ooh. I'm digging the blacklight bass. There's some interesting tonality in here too. Maybe? Maybe not. Maybe not. No, I think it's just intervals. Both bands are considered Zool. I wonder what all of the Zool bands I've heard before. This almost scanline division is absolutely bonkers. Yeah, definitely not math rock in style, but definitely mathy rock music. I would probably put this into an experimental or avant-garde umbrella, given just how esoteric it can be at times, but it is definitely based around mathy rhythmic devices. Yeah, see, that's one of the interesting things, that math rock can be a description. It is rock that employs math, or it can be the style. Just like progressive rock can be something that sounds like old school progressive rock, or it could just be any rock pushing boundaries. So, math rock is just neutered Zool. What a take. Yeah, that's not my style. It's just a bit too eclectic for me. But I was enthralled by the sheer skill on display. There's some incredibly wild ideas in here as far as layered concepts, the timing that everyone has to have in their mind, the rhythmic cadence of everything, and how almost every instrument is also on its own rhythmic device too, as far as like accent point cadences go. It is all over the place. And there's so many wild things going on. Like you'll hear the guitar and like a bass kick kind of being on the same pulse. And then just out of nowhere, the bass guitar over here is doing its own accents. And all of this is different from what the snare is doing and the keyboard. And it's so many layers of rhythmic ideas. And I think that's what really stands out to me. But beyond that, it also just feels like chaotic noise. This is something that definitely requires more time with to have a better understanding of. But it's just a lot happening all at the same time and consistently changing and evolving. And for me, it's just it wears me down rather quickly. But I did enjoy trying to groove with it and trying to decipher some of the mathy or rhythmic stuff going on in it. I think that they are masters of that. And to make it feel as good to listen to as they do is a vast improvement over a lot of avant-garde stuff we've listened to that just doesn't click with me at all. So I'll definitely give them some benefit there. This is more surface level palatable than some stuff we've heard in the past from other bands. Reminded me of Mouse on the Keys. That's interesting. We have some Mouse on the Keys coming up next week, I think. I know I've heard of them before, but off the top of my head, I can't remember what they sound like. I don't think I've heard Horse Lords. That seems new to me. Emo Zool? What would that sound like? I'd listen to that though. I'd give it a shot. So, the kind of music I could allow myself to dance wildly to in private. It's definitely one that gets the noodle going though. This noodle. You gotta think about it. Figure out what's going on. It's tough to just kind of groove to, but that's the joys of that style of music. Next up, we're gonna wrap this up with some Tropical Fuckstorm, Moscovium. This band's, man. All right, let's dive into this. Oh wait, we need Zach. No context on this one. Oh, this is your track. Awesome. Let's dive into this. See what's going on with them. Here's the album art. Yeah, that album art is something. I like how most of it looks fine-ish. And then I look under the top hat of the pink creature on the right, and I notice there's like 10 eyes up there. And none of the other ones have forehead eyes. And now I'm kind of scared. So there's some imagination going on with this. I'm across the street at Wawa. We're going to have an online fight IRL here. I don't know how that works, but y'all are trying it. This is one of their Tamer songs. All right, let's dive into it then. See what's going on with Moscovium. Oh, cool. I'm really happy that all of the less well-known words have been defined today. I really appreciate that.
They'd wake me up round dawn, leaving the night spots they'd owned. With a sound like idiots hiking through a canyon. Blurry, bleary-eyed, mad the real world had survived. We flee daylight to hide out in the houses.
So far, it's a very story-based song.
And your bread horses then cut ties with his old school friend like me.
Fun guitar stuff.
Wound up posted north of the Ivory Coast. With strict
Very expressive
orders
vocal
to
there.
breed a new battalion.
Didn't somebody say this was a tame? Yeah, Kantarkus. This is a Tamer song of theirs? It kind of is though. I know I've checked them out a few times in the past, but for some reason I didn't have them associated with heavy noise. Like, this part's chill. I dig this. All is relative, yeah.
High up in the ranges, on the salt flats of Groom Lake, sits a hanger like a suitcase in an attic.
It's always been a part of the music.
Okay,
Maybe I'll just commit that to memory this time. I think this song's gonna have an impact.
Dreams, men that don't believe in gods or magic. And the I broke horses there was friendly and not everywhere. But before he disappeared, he hit a YA for a beer. And the waitress said his eyes look kind of manic.
I kind of like the idea of hacking out some more rock. But yeah, check. That makes more sense. This person just screaming over here. Yeah, I think we've had some really nice variety today. Pop, rock, funk, metal. That was a really solid finale too. Yeah, I'll get that up as soon as possible. Probably within the next 30 minutes or so. Oh, what is this beat? Oh, dang. Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe that. It's definitely noisy, but there's a groove to it too. too much drugs in the making of this. All right. Reaction requests are handled through Patreon. You can find a link under the video. You got to join at the critic tier or higher. You get one request every month. And our next slots are open for the 24th for this month. All right. Yeah, I didn't dislike that. I'm not going to say I liked it either, but I didn't dislike it. The verses were great. I kind of enjoyed the choruses too. The layered vocals were interesting. The screamed vocals, like not even musically screamed. I think this person was just straight up yelling. Really interesting texture to add to that, but it works. I think a lot of that is because alongside the vocals, there's the really meaty guitars under all of it too. And the yelled vocals also give way for, in the same channel, the squealing guitars that come in just after it. So it's actually a really nice sonic segue too. The moodiness to the energy to the noise works at just a general escalation. You drop it down, you escalate again, you're up the song up. It works really well. I think they do a great job at controlling the energy and the atmosphere and pace of this track. But dang, dude, those noisy sections can be annoying. Annoying? There's some repetitive tones in there that really get on my nerves. But otherwise, it's just sound, man. If you enjoy that, I think they're doing a great job at it. If you don't, like me, really not a lot to get out of it. Copious amounts of beer. Is this the group that did the video where they were cosplaying or LARPing or something, but they made like beer can armor? Or is that a different group? They were originally another group called the Drones, if y'all haven't explored them. I don't think I've heard of them, but given that they were noisy, or they are noisy, and they used to be called the Drones, I don't think that's for me. 15-minute folk masterpiece. You know, honestly, I think you're talking about the three singers in this track. They could certainly pull off a 15-minute vocal focus masterpiece. I could see it. I see seaweed. Oh, that was Red Fang. I do recognize that name, but I don't think I would have been able to recall that on my own. The Drones are more reserved. I reacted to a whole album by the Drones. Dude, I listen to so much music. The singer is an insanely talented lyricist. That's something I didn't pick up on this track. I mentioned how story or narrative based it felt, particularly the verse, which is stripped down instrumentally. But I didn't really pick up much of the words. There's a lot of emotion in the vocal delivery from all three of the vocalists, though. So, yeah, I can definitely see lyrics and vocal performance being a big element of this group. And, you know, I say that. See, I see seaweed. I recognize. The Drones, I don't. So, I liked it. Okay, that's interesting. Given that it was part of this group or this group under a different name. And it's called the Drones. I mean, why would they call it? I bet I was a bit worried going into that one, whether I mentioned it or not. A band called the Drones does not sound like a good time to me. But yeah, this was a solid track. A bit too noisy at places for me, but I think that overall it matches their vibe and their message and what they were trying to get across. I'm going to assume based off of their anger in the chorus. Okay, yeah. Yeah, solid track. Good way to wrap today up on a massive note and just a solid day in general. Lots of stuff pulled down for me to check out in the future and a good assortment of sounds today too. As I mentioned earlier, we got some pop in here, really digestible stuff across the board. We got some indie rock, we got pop punk, we got some crazy heavy death metal in here, and everything in between. We got some almost country bluesy stuff even too. So I was going to say that we somehow didn't even get Japanese music in, but we kicked the day off with that. I remember there was a time when we couldn't have a stream without some Japanese music in it. I think we're slowly getting back to that point. Yeah, it's going to wrap up today then. And take care carefully. I like that. To be careful in your caregiving. As usual, y'all have a fantastic rest of your day. Get amped for tomorrow. You don't even know what's in store yet, but be amped for it. I'll have a notification going out in the morning, I suppose, on the usual channels to let everyone know. The schedule will be updated tonight as well. We're not doing a themed week this week. I am going to take it slow, but I also have something kind of up my sleeve for the reactions this week too. So just be on the lookout for that. I'm going to assume next Monday we'll get back onto the themes and we'll get the polls going again for the patrons. We'll get back on track by then. But we got something a little different this week and I'm excited for it. This live stream will be up within the hour, I'd assume. as long as YouTube doesn't have any problems with it. It's usually pretty quick for me to get it up. Dang, 3 a.m. Yeah, have a fantastic rest of your morning and get a good rest there. And yeah, that wraps it up. I will see you all later. And until next time, I don't know. I don't know where I was signing off with that. Y'all take care. I'll catch you next time.